Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What Were They Thinking? The show where good stories have the last laugh. My name is Murphy, and today I want to have some fun with Batman the Killing Joke. Let's get started. The Killing Joke is... Oh, spoilers by the way for all of these things? We cool? Okay. The Killing Joke is an animated movie produced by Warner Bros. Animation and DC Entertainment, and as is mandatory for most movies nowadays, it is based on a famous comic book storyline of the same name. Now, the original story is amazing and loved by basically everyone. Well, except for its own creator, but I guess you can't please everybody. Still, fans had been requesting an animated adaptation of the comic for years, and they would finally receive it in July 2016. The hype for this movie was real. With fan-favorite voice actors and creative teams behind it, it was easily one of the most anticipated animated releases of the year. So, the movie was a big hit, right? Huh. That's weird. Hold on for a second. Hi. Yeah, I'm doing the review. Real quick. Why do people hate this movie? Uh-huh. Oh, okay, only the first half. His name is what? They do what on a rooftop? Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, so apparently Batgirl gets outsmarted by a no-name run-of-the-mill gangster and then has sex with Batman on a rooftop. What were they thinking? Well, let's see if we can answer that, shall we? Now, the problems I just mentioned do not concern the entire movie because they are not elements from the original Killing Joke story, but from a Batgirl-centered story made specifically for this movie. In the interviews and sneak peeks leading up to the film's release, the creative team kept talking about how they wanted to give Batgirl a story arc, something that would present her character to us and get us emotionally connected to her in preparation for the events that would follow involving the Joker. Now that's pretty cool in my opinion, because you have a team that cares a lot about these characters and the story that they're telling, so they do their best to give all characters the screen time they deserve and make a more impactful, well-rounded story. Or they just wanted to add more time so they could sell the movie in theaters. But we here at What Were They Thinking like to think the creators have only the best of intentions when making a movie. Reason for why this story exists aside, it was not well received. Basically, everyone that saw this movie unanimously agreed that it would be actually better if people skipped this story and just jumped where the Killing Joke actually started. And at first, I was of the same opinion. A lot of the elements of this story don't work, and they actually hurt the movie that they're trying to make. But after watching it a second time, and yes, I did watch it a second time, I started asking myself, what were the creators' intentions with those elements? Why did they want to tell this story in this form? And honestly, I think the creators had some decent ideas, which if done right could have been a really good story on its own and set up the Joker-related stuff really well. And those ideas are there, some a bit too obvious, but all of those ideas were overshadowed by this.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay, let's address the bat elephant in the room. During the movie, Batgirl expresses an emotional and sexual interest towards Batman, and while arguing about Batgirl's lack of seriousness due to a failed attempt to catch a villain, they begin to fight, they make out, and then, well, you know. This was a big no-no for a lot of people because they could not accept the idea of Batman and Batgirl being romantically involved, and while I understand why that is, I don't mind the idea. I grew up watching the Batman animated series and Batman Beyond cartoons, and in both of them it was either implied or outright stated that they had been a couple. Whoa. So the idea has been in my head all this time, so I guess I'm less likely to be bothered by it, and I'll even go one step further and say that I actually think that a storyline where Batman is in a relationship with a woman that shares his interests, long walks on the beach, romantic comedies and striking fear into the heart of criminals, and which has never tried to kill him before, would actually present an interesting dynamic between him and, in this case, Batgirl, as I feel like this story hasn't been explored and it could give us some interesting scenarios. But even with that in mind, it doesn't work here because it's not handled well. Although we see Batgirl being interested in Batman early on, there is no indication that he feels the same throughout the movie, so him just agreeing to her subtle advances immediately after they were fighting comes out of nowhere, and as a result it makes him just seem a bit of a horn dog. Now you look here, young lady. Never mind. And to ruin this plot even more, after they do the deed, we see Batman doing his best Charlie Sheen impression by not answering Barbara's calls, and Barbara dealing with it in a very mature and adult way.
Hey, hey, hey!
I kid, but honestly it seems like this one that makes Batgirl's character just not likable. Okay, the guy was being kind of a jerk, but still, you're supposed to be a hero. You can't just throw out your frustrations on someone else and use them as your punching bag. Throwing bag in this case. Overall, the relationship plotline, although it might have had some potential, it is not enjoyable, it's not what people wanted to see because this is the Killing Joke, and it actually makes the characters involved less likable by the audience. I can't really understand why they dedicated so much time and effort to this. The only explanation I can think of for why they did this is that relationship drama is an easy way to create interest in a character, because no matter who you are, you're very likely to want to be in a relationship or have been in a relationship, and you can relate with stories containing those elements. The problem with that is, it used to work with audiences in the 90s, but now audiences are smarter and they want more from a character than just, oh, they're hooked up with this character so I guess they're important. They're not. Plus, the main audience for this movie are comic book fans who don't really read comics for the relationship drama. Yeah, you got your Spider-Man or X-Men stories that have elements of that, or heck, comics whose focus is solely on that, but Batman is not a franchise you usually associate with romance. Tune in tonight to see how Barbara has to win a fight with both her fists and her heart. Gossip Batgirl, Bat-O. So, the relationship plotline just doesn't work here, but there is another theme to this story which I think could have saved the whole thing, but also tied it really well to the rest of the movie. You see, The Killing Joke is ultimately about the relationship between Batman and the Joker. Not the text messages and going on dates kind of relationship, but in how their personalities and personal beliefs make them very similar. Guy has tragic event happen to him, scars him for life, dedicates his life to a single idea. But they're also why they will always be at each other's throat. Like I said, they're both fueled by one singular belief that was born out of tragedy. Batman's is to prevent anyone from feeling the pain that he felt as a child, and Joker's is to show people how pointless their ideas of order, justice, and fairness are in the grand scheme of things. I just realized that the Joker could just as easily start at the church and become a preacher.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Church of Laughable Enlightenment. Tonight, we open our joke books to page 302 for the great lessons of St. George Carlin, who brings into question our most basic of misguided social norms, calling our relatives on holidays. Can I get a ha-ha?
Anyway, it's these philosophies that make each character interesting and compelling, because you do kinda understand where each of them is coming from, but also why they're at odds with each other. It's this type of relationship that Batman has with basically all of his villains that makes their fights interesting, and it teaches us that what truly makes a great hero is a great villain. So if you want to show Batgirl as a strong character, to present her identity and purpose as a hero, what better way than to give her a villain that is threatening, powerful, and goes against everything she represents and believes in? That's right. In her story, Batgirl goes against Paris, France. That's the capital of France. That's Paris Hilton. There we go. Paris, France! What? You don't recognize him? Well, that's because he was created for this story specifically, and he... Well, let's take a look at his track record. He beats and outsmarts Batgirl, but seeing as how Batgirl has been doing this for a couple of years now, that's basically plot convenience. But he does hack into his uncle's accounts and steals his money, which theoretically makes him less threatening than 14-year-olds that hack the Pentagon. But he does kill his mob boss uncle just to gain power, control, and money, and that is something completely original. Okay, but check this out. He shot down and almost killed Batman. Yeah, you're right, he was probably just busy rehearsing his pickup lines for the next Batgirls.
Once you go Bat, you never go back. Nah, that's too obvious. Hey! Wanna know my secret identity? I feel like I used that one before. Is that a rocket in your pocket or... Wait a minute, that is a rocket.
Okay, so this guy is a really weak villain. He has no outstanding skills, his plans are so lame and basic that children wouldn't fall for them, and he has no interesting or unique personality. The only thing that makes him stand out is that he is obsessed with Batgirl, and not in the Death of the Family Joker kind of way, but more in the Dear Diary, I almost ran over Batgirl with my truck today. I think we might be destined to be together kind of way. And with this being an R-rated movie, they make it clear that his attraction is very sexual. And honestly, with the sexual obsession and the name Paris France, I kept expecting him to sound like this.
I don't waste my time with punk amateurs.
Ah, my darling, how beautiful you are. How lonesome it has been that I have without you.
So, like I said, this character is this so that Batgirl can go up against someone because, hey, this is a superhero movie after all. But he does serve a more interesting purpose. Despite his really weak resume as a villain, Batman has these lines to say in relation to his character.
When a criminal gets personal like that, it's bad news. He's not afraid of you. I want him nervous. It's still a game for you. It's still a thrill. You haven't been taken to the edge yet.
The edge of what?
The abyss. The place where you don't care anymore. Where all hope dies.
Yeah, remember when I said that some ideas are too obvious? This is what I was talking about. It's pretty clear that with lines like these and with his attitude of not being scared by our protagonist, the creators are trying to turn London, Britain into a Joker analog for Batgirl. Now this is a cool idea because it creates something called a mirroring narrative between the two stories, as both our protagonists are meant to go up against a villain who challenges their core concept as a hero through their sheer existence. This would not only make for a really enjoyable and thrilling story, but it will also create a deeper connection between Batman and Batgirl as individuals who go through arguably the hardest ordeal that a hero could go through. It would show to us how different each one reacts when pushed to an emotional, personal limit, and it would set up the Joker storyline perfectly by setting the tone and putting the audience in a mindset where they can better perceive the different emotional and philosophical layers that the Killing Joke story has. TLDL, it would make the whole movie better. So, unlike the relationship plotline, the villain plot is actually based on a solid idea with a lot of potential payoff and creative benefits. So why didn't it work? Well, like I said, all the bat shipping that was going on was so badly done that it blinded people, myself included, from anything else. But it's also because Berlin, Germany is just a weak villain, and that fact hurts no other character more than Batgirl. Like I said, a hero is defined by their villain, and when a villain is as weak and as uninteresting as this one, when your protagonist loses to him multiple times, both physically and strategically, you can't help but see Batgirl as being incompetent and just bad at the thing that she's been supposedly doing for years now. And to top it all off, after she goes against Batman's word, after she gets defeated and Batman has to come in and save her, she's still the one giving him attitude. This moment, right before them having sex, is in my opinion the worst scene for her character, because she not only knows that she failed and that she was wrong in her decisions, but she's just not admitting or owning up to it. Instead, she tries to blame it on Batman, on how he doesn't understand her or that he doesn't trust her. I'm sorry, Batgirl, but no one is on your side right now. You're acting childish and irresponsible, and no one can say that you're right. And remember, this was supposed to be her story. We're supposed to root for her. But with all the failures and attitude problems, with all the talks with friends about yoga classes and scenes with rooftop sex, I have to say that Batgirl gets hurt more from this story than any bullet the Joker could ever fire. God, this got really depressing. Okay, time to turn it around. I meant tone, not image! As much as I love analyzing movies and their themes, I feel like there's enough of that online already, so I want to do something different. I'm going to take the two main themes of this story and come up with a different story that respects those themes, but which I think would be more suited and enjoyable to a larger audience. I'm not saying that my version will be better, but simply what I think would work. So let's give it a go. Now, our story needs to present an interesting hero-villain conflict. However, it has to be simpler than that of Batman and Joker as to not outshine it, while also giving our protagonist the grand animated cinematic breakthrough she deserves. So let's start with our hero, Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Now, I'll admit that I'm not a huge Batgirl fan, but what I got from her origin story and her new 52 run is that she is a smart, hardworking woman that chooses to become a hero because she finds it fun. In that sense, she's kinda like us as kids when we thought that being a superhero was the coolest thing ever. But like any good hero, she understands the responsibility of being a hero. If you're not aware of it, just ask Spider-Man. He loves telling that story with every chance he gets. Back to Batgirl. I think that her father being the police commissioner taught her the value of justice, fairness, and protecting others. She respects Batman and what he does because he accomplishes just that, saving and protecting the innocent from harm. To really prove her dedication, even after she gets shot by the Joker, I warned you there would be spoilers, she doesn't just give up crime fighting. Oh no. She becomes one of the most skilled hackers in the entire DC universe and continues to help Batman, her team, the Birds of Prey, and almost every other hero from the DC universe under the codename Oracle, all while being confined to a wheelchair, and still she kicks ass. Hashtag do you even hero, bro? Batman became a hero because tragedy brought him there. It was the only way he found that helped him cope with the pain, but Barbara Gordon does it because she believes it's the right thing. For her, being Batgirl and helping others stay safe is both an opportunity to have fun, but also a privilege to live up to the ideals that she has and the high standards that she sets for herself for being a worthwhile person. She's young and she will act on her emotions more than Batman, but that's who she is. She puts passion and heart into this, and it's normal to have a strong reaction when something happens. That is the Batgirl that I know and respect. Okay, so we have our main character. Now, we need a proper villain for her. Even if Rome, Italy, hey, we got his nationality right, would have actually been dangerous and threatening, he still would have not have been a good choice due to his flimsy motivation of sexual interest and just gangster things. Nowhere in her history did I ever find that Barbara Gordon was defined by her gender or sexuality. Those elements could play a part in stories, but her character overall does not revolve around them. Joker is arguably the antithesis of Batman, so we need someone of equal relevance for Batgirl. Again, I have only read the New 52 Batgirl stories, and most people would probably say that her nemesis would be her brother, James Gordon Jr., or even Charis Cairns? Nightfall. However, the villain that I think perfectly goes against Batgirl's identity as a hero is, drumroll please, Mirror! Okay, now you're doing it on purpose. Thank you. Mirror! For those of you who don't know Mirror's backstory, I will not be going over it in this video, and here's why. I didn't want to just come here and pitch a general vague idea for a story and let you guys fill in the blanks in your head. I wanted to really show you how I imagined the story with the right images, scenarios, plot points, and even lines between characters. So, for every movie I review on this show, I will also make a second separate video, which you will find linked at the end of this review or in the description down below, in which I tell my version of the story through narration, voice acting, and edited pictures. Right now, I'm just gonna say that I chose him because I think that his entire motivation as a character perfectly goes against Batgirl's. Also, you could say that their relationship would mirror Batman's and Joker's. And that's it, everybody. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much. Don't forget to tip your waitresses. Hey, drive safe. Okay, so now we have our hero and villain, and if we do a good job of presenting their motivations and purposes as being directly opposed, their conflict is inevitable, and you build the story so that it just allows for that conflict to manifest itself naturally. However, we're faced with a small problem. Even most casual fans of Batman know that he fully dedicates himself to crime fighting and that he is always on top of his game. He would very quickly realize that something bad is going on, and he would immediately get involved and ruin the conflict that we've been trying to build to. We can't just pretend like he's not there where he doesn't care, because we do have to set him up for his part later on. So what do? Well, we Professor X him. Professor X is well known as being one of the most powerful telepaths in the Marvel Universe. With his ability to manipulate the minds of others, many conflicts would just be avoided by him giving a sleep command, so in order to give any believable stakes, writers are always forced to find a way to incapacitate him. Like in Days of Future Past, where he dampens his own powers to regain the ability to walk. With Batman it's the same thing. We need to find something to keep him busy while Batgirl steps up to the plate and goes against Mirror alone. And besides that, just add the normal Batman-y story elements and flesh out the whole thing. 2 spoons of beating up random thugs, a pinch of mystery and tension to really get that thriller theme going on, and a lot of foreshadowing of things to come. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts and ideas about Batgirl's story from Batman the Killing Joke animated movie. If you guys thought the creators intended for something else, or you have your own ideas for a story, share them in the comments below, cause this was just my opinion and I'd love to know yours as well. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more creative content. But until next time, my name is Murphy, and that was my story.